Hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Mission Mojo show. I'm Nicola Grace, the Mission Mentor. Let me talk to you about what Mission Mojo is before we get into our subject for today, which is all about higher purpose and how do you clarify it, how do you move forward on knowing what that is. So Mission Mojo, it's a term I've made up for this thing that I found within us, which is the power to create the extraordinary. And we only access that power when we're 100% aligned to our purpose, our higher purpose, our mission, what we're really here to do in the world. And that power seems to be reserved for the let's make a big difference moments, rather than I have access to this power all day, every day to do whatever I want. I haven't noticed that that is the case. So we want you tapped into your Mission Mojo because that's how you get to make the biggest impact. And we start by making sure you're aligned to your purpose, your higher purpose. So let me go over the agenda for today. We're going to start off by saying, having a little, what did I do wrong? Oh, I've done something. I think I just deleted something. Anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is go over terms. What's higher purpose versus soul purpose, purpose, life purpose, all these purpose words that are bandied about. And then how do you get clarity on it? How do you start the process of getting that clarity, and a little bit more about moving forward on that one. I'd love for you to ask questions. In fact, please say hi if you're watching this live. Say hello and let me know who you are and what you'd like to get out of this. We're going to be speaking for about 20 to 30 minutes. And it's going to be interactive, so at some stage I will stop to have a look at what your comments are saying, and I'm just going to put a little comment in here. Where is it? Hello. Please introduce yourself, because you never know who's watching these things. If you're watching the replay, love for you to also say hi too, because I get a little message there and I can post a comment in there, especially if you've got a question. So I want to know who's there, otherwise it just feels like you're talking to a whole lot of air. So I'm doing 30 days of answering questions that I get asked a lot from people who are doing my 5-day challenge, how to put together a purpose-aligned business, or how to scale your business to step up to a higher mission or your new work, and how to make it profitable, and how to make a lot of money from it, because a lot of people have this angst about making money from their purpose. So all these questions that come into me via the challenge or via email, I thought, well, why don't I just take 30 days to just get all those questions answered for everybody out there who is following me on Facebook and on YouTube and other social media outlets. And that way, everybody can get the benefit of those answers. So again, please say hi and let's get to it. Let's talk about classification of terms. Higher purpose, a lot of people tend to think that that's a religious purpose or a spiritual purpose. And when we're talking about spiritual, so many people have different ideas about what that is. It makes it really nebulous to try and figure out, well, what are you talking about? And so for some people, they get a sense that they've got a greater purpose or a higher calling, but it's not religious, and so they can get confused. That's why it's really important to clarify terms. So let's start with purpose itself. Everybody, all day, every day, pretty much does this. And if you don't, you wouldn't be alive. You make up a purpose, right? You go, I'm going to go to the shops and I'm going to get some bread and milk. So you make up a purpose to get bread and milk to go to the shops because it gives you a sense of direction in your life. And you do that all day, probably without even realizing it. So those kind of purposes aren't really why you're on the planet. Like, that's not why you're here, what you're here for, what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. They're just things that we make up to give us a sense of purpose. And this is part of the reason why people who will be depressed or not very happy in their day, if they're not actually setting those kind of small goals or giving themselves a sense of purpose, they get really depressed, right? And they'll just sit and do absolutely nothing. And I know what that's like because I've had depression before. So purpose can be made up. So that's not the same as your soul purpose, which is, why did you incarnate to have this human experience as a spiritual being? What is the reason for that? Now, everybody has the same reason, and it's very obvious and it's evident when you look at what's going on in humanity over history, and that is that we're here to grow and evolve. So your soul purpose, the whole reason you're incarnate, is to grow and to evolve. So if you say, oh, I'm not changing, that's just me, then you're kind of stuck in where you're at. You're not growing and evolving according to your soul purpose, right? You're just there like a lump of clay that isn't really fulfilling its soul purpose. How you fulfill that soul purpose is what your life purpose is, because it's your life. So the soul isn't necessarily here in a body form for anything else other than to evolve, because it could also fulfill that purpose not being in the body. It evolves, being elsewhere or being in other dimensions, if you like. So the life purpose is this life on planet Earth. So how you fulfill that soul's purpose on planet Earth is through your life purpose. Now, this is where it gets very individual. And life purpose isn't necessarily a job, what you do, or a career, because let's face it, at some stage we may not have to work anymore, right? Wouldn't that be great? And so therefore, does your existence have a purpose? Yes, it does. So life purpose is very broad. It contains all the nitty-gritty details of how you're here to evolve. How should you express yourself? How should you show up in the world so that you can create that evolution and that growth? What should you do from this moment, and then once you've mastered that, what's the next thing to do so that you can feel that sense of fulfillment of your purpose? What are your gifts and talents? That makes up part of your life purpose. What are the life challenges that you're going to repeat over and over again in your life until you've mastered them, so that you can get that evolution and you can get that growth? You see, everything leads to evolution and growth. And if you're just joining me, I'd love it if you would say hi in the comments section. That would be awesome. And so that's the infusion of the soul purpose coming into the life purpose. What are you here to be? Then there's the life mission. What are you here to do? So if you get a sense, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something else, or now it's time to do something even bigger, step up to a higher purpose, you're alluding to the fact that you've got a mission, right? That's the doing part of your purpose. So how I see it when I'm working with people is I see really clearly that purpose is around being. What are you here to achieve, and what are you here to help others or the planet achieve? The being states, the outcomes of that work that you do. The mission is the outcome in the world at large. Like, how does that ripple out into the world and create change, create evolution, create growth and progress? So that's kind of like how I distinguish that. So the life purpose then is this big general statement, umbrella that includes lots of different things underneath it, including your mission. So because your soul's purpose is about growing and evolution, it makes sense then that you might be going along your life purpose, learning your lessons, giving your gifts, helping people achieve certain things, doing certain things, and you're feeling a great sense of fulfillment and purpose. And then all of a sudden you go, well, I'm bored now, or I'm feeling distracted. I feel like I need to do something else now. That's not an indication that you weren't on purpose. That's usually an indication it's time to step up to the next level and the next part of your purpose, the next evolution of it. So that's your higher purpose. Now, in essence, you have lots of higher purposes as you go throughout your life, but it's one foot in front of the other, right? You stretch up, evolve up, grow up, expand into your higher purpose, and that gets fulfilled. You learn the lessons from that. You've got the challenges, and then you help other people or the planet or whatever those achievement states are, those being states are, and you get to that plateau, and then it's time to step up to an even higher purpose. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of people mistake higher purpose with higher power. And it's not that, right? Because higher power is a religious term, and in essence, in creation, there wouldn't be religion, right? There would just be pure source creating and consciousness and love and all those really nice things. Religion is something that man has made up. So you want to divorce religion from this idea of purpose, unless part of your life purpose is to express itself through religion. So that's possible. It's totally possible. People totally have that choice to go through that evolutionary process. but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to go through that evolutionary process, and that is quite evident. All you have to do is look out into the world and see many different spiritual paths, many different religions and no religions, many different ways of people coming into that state of being where they're tapping into their higher potential and feeling a sense of purpose in their life. So I want to make that really clear for a couple of reasons. Number one, a lot of people go, well, I know what my higher purpose is, but I can't make money from that. So now they've got this split between working for money and not feeling a sense of purpose, and so therefore they're not happy and lackluster, they don't enjoy their work, versus this idea out here that there's a purpose that they could be filling or a higher calling, and it has to be something that they have to do and live in poverty with. And then there's conflict because it's very difficult to live in poverty, isn't it? You can't do much and you can't affect much change. So there's that conflict that goes on when you haven't clearly distinguished between religion and purpose. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that you want to do it. The next reason is really because then what happens is that if you've still got those ideas like purpose has to do with religion, you're going to look to religion to find your purpose. And for some people, that is part of their life purpose, but for most people, it is not. So it can confuse you and get you focusing in the wrong direction to look for the answers that you're seeking and that sense of fulfillment. So it's really important. So I've gone through all of those important distinctions. So let's have a look at why don't you currently have access. Can I show that there? There we go. Why don't you have the clarity? So if you have a sense that you've got a purpose, a higher purpose, and you're not quite fulfilling it, or you're not even sure what it is. So you could be on track not feeling like you're fulfilling it, or on track feeling like now it's time to do something bigger, or just have no clue whatsoever. Regardless of where you're at, the reasons why you have lack of clarity could be one or any of the following. And the first one is that we all have ancestral blockages that hinder us from just cogniting on our own. We may get glimpses, we may get visions, we may get a sense, right? But to the extent that you actually take action on that is the extent at which you have ancestral blockages. Now, I say ancestral blockages because if you look at the history of all cultures, it doesn't matter what religion you come from, what culture you come from, there's been some badass stuff that's happened. Like people have been burnt at the stake for believing something different from everybody else. There have been crusades. There have been change makers who have tried to make a difference in the world, tried to make the world better, and they've been poisoned, they've been jailed, and like if you're getting triggered right now, I want you to take a deep breath in and just blow all of that charge off, and then put your feet together, feet apart, because like when I talk about this, quite often people get triggered or they'll get goosebumps because they'll resonate that somewhere along the line their ancestors or past lives, if you believe in that, have been through some kind of a trauma. So what that does is it creates matrices or grids of beliefs that say following your purpose, stepping up to your purpose, having a sense of purpose is bad, or it leads to something bad happening. So that starts to shut down the thought process. It shuts down your access to your soul, your heart, and the guidance that you have available to you within that. And you can't get that clarity because of that ancestral block. And until you start moving past that, it's very difficult to get that clarity. The other thing that can happen is programming. Our society does not program us to go in search of purpose. It tells us to go out there and get a job, make money, and pay bills and stuff, right? So we're not trained in that. So our minds aren't thinking along those lines of looking within and looking for the clarity, and then looking without too, because there's usually clues all around you. What else have I got here? Oh yeah, the other reason is because you're not prioritizing it, right? It's very easy to get that clarity once you prioritize it and you decide, right, I'm going in search of this, and I'm going to look for fastest, most efficient way to get that clarity. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how you can get that in just a moment. Oh, I'm going to talk about it right now because that's what's next on the agenda. How do you get the clarity? Well, the first thing is, and this goes for anything, and in order to answer any question, you could probably say this thing. You first need to have the intention. Like, you have to have the intention to reach a goal. You need to have the intention to get what you want. You need to have the intention of what it is you're going to create or what outcome that you want. So you've got to set the intention very clearly to say, I am going to go in search of my higher purpose, or I am going to look within for my higher purpose, or I'm going to go on this journey so I know that there's a bigger game I'm here to play, and I know what that is, and I know how to incorporate that into my career, or incorporate that into my business, or incorporate that into my life, however it is that you're, the angle that you're looking at it from. So you've got to have the intention to do it. Then you have to back the intention with energy. You can't be kind of like a new age sort of Pollyanna where you just skip along going, oh yeah, one day I'm going to find my higher purpose. Yeah, I'm going to go on a search, and then do actions that aren't going to lead you in that direction. You have to follow it up with energy and action to lead you in that direction. In my experience, because of the programming, because of the ancestral beliefs, when I've been working with people, and I've been doing this now for 7, possibly even 8 years, I have to think when it was, at 2009, I think it was, so however much that adds up to when I started. Because of that programming, it's really difficult for you to get all the details so that you have that certainty, that clarity, and that confidence on your own. It's not impossible, but somebody like me who's an intuitive visionary, and I consider myself to be highly intelligent, I'm really well educated, I still needed somebody to narrow my focus and help me bypass programming to go straight for the real core of it and to get the details of it. So I've just answered the question on how do you get clarity there. Firstly, intention, energy, and then process. Some kind of process so that you can bypass the programming and you can narrow your focus to go for what it is that you're looking for. And then obviously you need to know what you're looking for. So if you're going looking for your higher purpose in a job, like what is my higher purpose, as in what job should I have, you won't find it that way. If you're going to look for your higher purpose and go, what business should I start, and that's my higher purpose, it's not going to be found there. Because again, higher purpose is going to be general. It's going to be the being states that you're here to achieve in yourself, and the being states that you're here for the world or for the planet, for people to achieve. And from there, you would inject that into the best career path for that to be achieved, or the best business for that to be achieved. And that's a really important distinction. So let me just get my trusted little pad up here with all my things. So if anybody's watching this as a live or as a replay, pop in any questions that you may have, because I love to answer them. That's why I'm doing this 30 days, to get those answered. And then the next thing is, what have I done here? How do you get that clarity? Okay, cool. So we've talked about that. Let me just go over that again. You've got to have the intention. You've got to back it up with energy and with the right actions. Get it some kind of a process. Look for processes to do that will help you bypass the programming and the ancestral blockages, and possibly even get rid of some of them along the way. And then I always find it advantageous to work with somebody who's a little bit ahead than me, or has gone far off into the distance than me, so they can turn around and shine the light, because for me that means I'm going to get there faster. And I hear this a lot from new clients coming on board, that they've wasted so much time trying to figure it out on their own as they went, that it was just impossible, and they get to a stage where they finally see that they need some kind of guidance and they need some kind of help. And the good news is that there's lots of people out there to help you. I've got courses and processes that can help you. There are lots of other people out there. So if you don't resonate with me, cool, find somebody that you do resonate with, which is the next step. Go find someone you resonate with and work with them to get you there faster. And the reason why I say that is because your purpose has to do with how this world is going to evolve and how it's going to change. So the longer it takes you to do that, the longer it takes you to play your part in creating the new world that we're all wanting to build, where everybody's happy and prosperous and it's all equal, then, the longer we have to put up with the nonsense that we have to put up with, right? Because you haven't arrived at the picnic table with your particular unique angle on how things are going to shift. So our purpose is really important to fulfill because it's going to create a better world. It's going to be your part to play in creating that better world. So why do you want to put that off, right? You don't. You want to get out there and you want to get onto that quick smart. Fastest way to do it is to find somebody you resonate with who's an expert in that area and they can help you move forward. So there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh yes, I wanted to talk about this little thing called brain anesthesia, I think. I think that's what I want to call it. Yes, brain anesthesia or brain anesthetic. And you've probably had this experience. You know how you go to the kitchen, for instance, and you go to get something and all of a sudden you find yourself standing there going, what did I come into the kitchen for? It's like you've gone unconscious there for a moment, right? You've had some kind of anesthetic release in your brain. You totally forgot what you went in there for. It works like that with purpose as well. You can set a high intention to go, you know what, I'm going to do this course, or I'm going to contact this person, or I'm going to go on a trip and do some meditation, like whatever it is you decide to do. And you could be starting off on a path, and then all of a sudden something comes in and it completely derails you and diverts your attention off in another direction. Or you stand still and all of a sudden trying to figure out what on earth you were doing. You've forgotten what you're doing. So that's the kind of anesthetic coming in to block out the memory of what it is you were thinking and what it is that you were doing, because what's rising to the surface is that fear of being on purpose and what that means according to those ancestral blockages. And it can look quite insidious sometimes, and I see too many people make excuses for themselves and they let themselves off the hook. And you can do that if you want to, but the life you live is going to be small compared to the life that you were meant to live, right? You take responsibility for saying, oh, look at that. You don't have to beat yourself up. You go, oh, I got a bit distracted, or that brain anesthetic just kicked in and totally sort of derailed me and I forgot what I was doing and looking for. So now let me just get back on track. And you know what? Like, I'm experienced in all of this and it still happens to me. I'm going, oh, what am I working on? What am I doing? Which is why I strategize and plan and do mind maps for just about everything now, because I can just pull it out and go, yep, here it is. And it keeps me productive and it keeps me focused. So you might want to start doing that as well too. So that goes back to intention and energy. If you've got the intention, you need to back it up with energy. You have to get energetic about it. And the more resistance you have, the more energetic you need to become. You can't just go and hide away in your bedroom under the doona, although that can be very nice sometimes, and hope that things are going to shift, right? You actually got to apply energy, and apply lots of energy. So that energy might look like going in search of, doing searches, doing courses, showing up to networking events or any kind of events where you might be getting that one step closer and further. And then once you decide what course of action you're actually going to take, being present for it and not letting yourself get derailed and diverted. And the reason for that is the law that governs that, or the law of resistance, requires there to be more energy in relationship to the resistance that's present. So yes, you can go and get rid of the resistance, but you can still act even though you've got resistance, just by applying more energy and being very determined about it, right? Being determined to bust through. So one of the things I would like to invite those of you who are resonating with me, and maybe you've been on my list for a while, you've been following me on social media and you like what I'm saying, my whole angle is creating businesses that change the world. So you're getting paid, right? You're getting paid really well to do something that's going to make a big impact in the world. And we come all the way back to the very beginning by getting really clear what your life mission is, what your higher purpose purpose is, what all the nitty-gritty details of your purpose are, and from that we build that foundation, and then we monetize that and we move forward on that. So that's what I'm all about. I'm all about changing the world and having businesses that create transformation in the world so we can make it a better place, and we can affect a lot of change in the world when we do that. So if you've been resonating with me and you think that, you'd like to test me out, you'd like to work with me a little bit and just see how it's going to be, I have a really fantastic 4-hour workshop called Mission Mojo Day. It's a doing and discovery day. So it's not like this where I'm presenting. It's like you and me working together with a small group of people, going through some of my processes to get you absolutely clear on what your life mission is. So that's the what are you here to do? And then I'm going to show you, well, how does that integrate into your business, and how does that integrate into a career path if you're wanting to do a career path. How does that give you clarity of direction, and what do you do? I'm going to teach manifestation principles. How do you start manifesting what you want to experience, the money that you want? Because that's a really important part, right? You know what your purpose is. Now you've got to go fulfill it and manifest it, and also get rewarded for what it is that you're doing. I'm going to talk about greater good. How do we get your messaging right? So when you communicate what it is you do and you articulate what it is that you're going to do, it's going to cause the wow factor. It's going to cause some kind of inspiration. So you're going to have an option to download a manual, but there's processes that everybody's going to work through, and we'll be sort of going backwards and forwards, and you'll be learning my whole purpose to profit formula and integrating that. And that's why I'm calling it a doing and discovery day. You're doing stuff and you're discovering stuff to get that clarity. So if you are needing more clarity of direction, this is a really good opportunity for you to come at a low entry level and work with me. And literally it's $1. My goodness, $1 down. And then if at the end of the day, if you did not get any value, you don't pay any more. And if you did get the value, then it's $67. Now, all of the details are on the website. I'm just going to give you some links that you can go to learn a little bit more about that. And again, if there's anybody watching, you've got a question about what I've been saying, for sure, ask me that. So I've got one on the 5th and one on the 6th. We've got South African time zone, which is also the European time zone. And we have the, oops, there we go. That should be there for you. That's the Mission Mojo Day online workshop. I did this workshop on the Gold Coast a few weeks ago, and everybody walked away with clarity. It's like, yes, I've got clarity here. And that was really awesome, right? And they also said, man, you're really hands-on. You don't waste time. And I don't. I'm not a time waster. If you're going to invest 4 hours of your time with me, and some of you will choose to do the VIP 2 hours afterwards, where we actually get more personal, private mentoring from me, and that's $47 for that upgrade. So it's super cheap, right? It's much cheaper than my actual fee. And we can actually get stuff done. It's like no more dreaming, no more wishing. Let's get it done. Let's get some stuff. Let's get stuff discovered. Let's get you on your path, moving with clarity, so that you're not, floundering around, wasting time trying to figure it out as you go. Because if you haven't done that by now, it's not going to happen on your own. Something's going to come in. Someone's going to come in to help you get that clarity. And if that's me, I would love for you to join me. And if there aren't any questions, this is a really quiet episode, then I'm going to scooch. And for those of you watching the replay, happy for you to post a comment, say hello, ask any questions about the material. And if you're wanting to know what the schedule is for the rest of the 30 days of the Mission Mojo show, you can go to nicolagrace.com. And you'll find the Mission Mojo show schedule. My very noisy, clunky keyboard, my Apple Mac keyboard is dysfunctional at the moment, so I've got a generic one, like one of those old-fashioned ones, and it just makes a lot of noise. Awesome. So really looking forward to being able to help you get on your path. And what my outcome for people is always that your outcome, like what is it that you really want to be feeling and experiencing, and how important is that to you? And if years go by and you never got to experience it, what would be the feeling that we want to avoid you having, right? So we want to avoid you wasting time, wasting money, going around in circles, getting stuck, stagnating. And all we need to do is just point you in the right direction to begin with. And it's a really wonderful journey from that point onwards. Collapses time, and it avoids that really that moment where you realize that you've wasted your time, you've wasted your life. And believe you me, as somebody who's getting older, it makes a difference. Like every day makes a really big, huge difference. And the more you're out there making a difference in the world and in other people's lives, the more you feel, that you've got a purpose, that you've got a sense of contribution, then the happier you're going to be. And that's just a fact of it. I can guarantee you that. So thanks so much for listening. And I'll see those of you who are going to join me tomorrow. We need to talk about money. How do you get the money that you want to be able to do all the good stuff that you want to be doing? Really important. And I'm going to talk about how that links to purpose and how purpose can make that journey to get the money that you want a lot easier. So see you then. Bye-bye.